Once upon a time, there was a prince named Alexander who lived in a beautiful castle. He had everything he wanted: swords, horses, toys, and servants, but he was very rude to everyone around him. He never said please or thank you. He always demanded more, and he threw tantrums when he didn't get his way. One day, he decided to go for a ride in the forest with his servant. He wore his finest armor and his most expensive ring. He thought he was the most handsome and brave person in the world. As they rode, they came across a peasant boy who was chopping wood. He wore a simple tunic and had no jewels. He looked up and smiled at the prince. "Hello, Your Highness," he said politely. "What a lovely day it is." The prince sneered at him. "How dare you speak to me, you filthy peasant," he said. "You should bow down and kiss my hand." The peasant boy was shocked by the prince's rudeness. He tried to be respectful. "I'm sorry, Your Highness," he said. "I meant no offense. I just wanted to greet you." The prince was not satisfied. He grabbed the axe from the peasant boy and threw it on the ground. The peasant boy was hurt by the prince's cruelty. He started to cry. "Please, Your Highness," he said. "That was all I had for my family. We have nothing else to chop wood." The prince laughed at him. "That's not my problem," he said. "You should work harder and earn more money. Now get out of my sight before I have you whipped." The servant watched the scene with horror. He felt sorry for the peasant boy and wanted to help him, but he was afraid of the prince. Suddenly, a fairy appeared in front of them. She had long blonde hair, blue eyes, and a sparkling dress. She looked at the prince with anger and at the peasant boy with pity. "Who are you?" the prince asked. "I am the fairy of the forest," the fairy said. "I have been watching you, and I am disgusted by your behavior. You are the most spoiled and selfish prince I have ever seen. You have no kindness or courage in your heart." The prince was not afraid of the fairy. He thought he was more powerful than her. "So what?" he said. "I am a prince and I can do whatever I want. You have no authority over me." The fairy shook her head. "You are wrong," she said. "You have a duty to be a good ruler and a good person. You have abused your privilege and mistreated your people. You need to learn a lesson." The fairy waved her wand and cast a spell on the prince. "From this day on, you will switch places with this peasant boy," she said. "You will live in this hut, wear his clothes, and work for his family. You will not have any of your luxuries or servants. You will experience what it is like to be poor." The prince gasped as he felt a change in his body. He looked down and saw that he was wearing the peasant boy's tunic and had no ring. "What have you done to me?" he screamed. The fairy smiled at the peasant boy. "And you," she said, "will switch places with this prince. You will live in his castle, wear his clothes, and enjoy his wealth. You will have everything you ever dreamed of." The peasant boy gasped as he felt a change in his body too. He looked down and saw that he was wearing the prince's armor and had his ring. "Is this a dream?" he asked. The fairy nodded at the servant. "And you," she said, "will be their guide and guardian. You will help them adjust to their new lives and teach them what they need to know." The servant nodded nervously. "Yes, fairy," he said. The fairy looked at all of them. "This is your chance to change," she said. "You will stay in this situation until you learn your lesson, until the prince becomes kind and courageous, until the peasant boy becomes confident and grateful." She waved her wand and disappeared, and so began their adventures. The moral of this story is that you should never disrespect people. Thank you for listening.